Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about LA Noire, specifically the protagonist in the game, Cole Phelps, and compare him a little bit to Joel in the sense of how to send off a flawed hero. So when you play the game LA Noire, you notice that the hero isn't really that hero in the sense that he's got his problems as well, and that the way the game ended is probably like him getting his catharsis, because he wasn't really very bad, but he wasn't a saint either. And that's what I feel with Joel also. He's not the saint because the game is in a post-apocalyptic world where survival is the end and the means don't matter, but at the same time he's also a good person. He's good to his brother, he's good to Ellie, and he lives in the community, especially when you see him in The Last of Us Part 2. He lives peacefully in his community, does his patrols, his fair share of responsibility. And of course, the plots are totally different from Cole Phelps and Joel Miller, but the personalities are a little bit the same in them being flawed and in a world full of corrupt people. A little story about this game and how I found it. It was way back in the day in 2011. I had this little shop which is like a cyber cafe of sorts where there are consoles for people to play and they pay an hourly rate. So in a place like mine, which is a third world country, people cannot really afford to buy consoles and games, so a lot of them just resort to these cafes to play their favorite games, their GTA games, their soccer games and whatnot, and they pay an hourly rate which is a lot more affordable than buying your console and your games. Back in the day I was jobless and I had nothing to do. This business wasn't really very lucrative, but I had very good moments with it, so I still cherish it to this day, even if it's not your dream job. So let's begin to speak about Cole Phelps, who he is, what he does, and how the story finishes with him. So Cole Phelps is this war veteran who served for the army in the United States, and of course they consider him a war hero because he defended his country. And then he is given a job in Los Angeles as a detective in the police department, and he soon makes a name for himself because he solves a lot of difficult cases, and subsequently he climbs up in the ranks and is considered to be this new hero and this smart detective. And up to that point all was fine and dandy, until he got involved in a big case in which there was selling of drugs, and he finds himself in a relationship with a girl who was a singer, and because he has a family and kids, that is considered to be cheating on his wife. And then we see that things go downhill slowly after that. And because he has to solve cases, and because the police department there was full of corrupt people, there was a time when there was this serial killer and they couldn't find clues about him, and then they just started to investigate and find people, but there wasn't enough evidence that these people were the culprits of these murders. So the theory of a serial killer was there because the killer was doing horrible things to these women, and it was like the same thing, but the police department keeps just charging other people with these murders, and Cole Phillips rejects that. The head of his department told him, no, we need a suspect and we need to close these cases, otherwise there will be pressure from the community and newspapers will start to question our ability to solve cases and enforce the law, which is very bad because they were sending innocent people to jail. Because Cole Phillips is rejecting this idea, they just dismissed him and he went working on small cases, and they say to him in this arson department in which they investigate arson cases, and they were considered to be something inferior, so to speak, compared to finding serial killers. But in this arson arc, Cole Phelps discovers something bad from his past, and there was this person who was setting fire on houses, and he later discovers that this person was serving in the war with him, actually under his command. We have this flashback in Okinawa where Cole Phillips tells his soldiers to go and burn a place, a cave, and it turned out to be that this cave was full of civilians, children and women. And of course the person who was doing these arson crimes was one of the soldiers that couldn't take it because it was such a horrible thing. It was a war crime. Maybe Phelps didn't know about the cave being filled with civilians and he thought that it was filled with Japanese soldiers. But nonetheless, he should take responsibility because he was the one who orchestrated this attack. And the soldier just lost it and couldn't live in peace after what he did. Understandably so, it was a very horrible thing. And here we discover that Cole Phelps is also this flawed person, that he made mistakes, probably not willingly, but some of them are willing, like cheating on his wife. But war crimes, probably he didn't really want to do them, but yeah, he did them. There was no going around that. And suddenly we get this picture of Cole Phelps, and the ending of the game chose like to give him this catharsis, atone for his sins, so to speak, or probably just to feel at ease. I don't know. In the end, he was trying to save people, but it was raining too much and he got caught in one of the sewers and he just drowned. So why am I telling this story is because you see, Cole Phelps is not really that very bad person. Also, Joel is not really very bad considering the world that he lives in. But they sent Cole Phelps and they give him this tragic death or heroic death. You can interpret it in any way you want. Because he was a hero, he was flawed, but he had some good attributes to him. So he deserves probably dying for a good cause. Whereas Joel, who did horrible things but also did good things and saved an innocent child, that is Ellie, from getting killed by the Fireflies, and who lives a rather peaceful life in his community and does his duties. We see him in the second game just sent off in the most horrible, disrespectful way, and he was used as a tool to ignite what's going to happen in the story in The Last of Us Part 2. So on the one hand we have a hero that sacrificed himself for something good, which is Cole Phelps, and on the other hand we have a hero who is also a flawed person that was treated disrespectfully and horribly and wasn't given the chance to probably atone for his sins or the bad things that he did. Rather was just tortured by some egomaniac who was training day and night to get revenge. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe for more. And tell your opinions. Do you think that this comparison of Cole Phelps and Joel Miller is really holding its ground? Or do you think that it is not? Leave your comments, and any discussion is welcome as long as it is presented in a good way without getting personal against anyone. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you again soon.